Well. The time is 6 minutes past 6. Is that time of the week where we once again interact with the community radio stations of South Africa. Greetings once again and welcome to you in this regular Tuesday and Thursday Department of Justice and Development sponsored radio program. I'm yours, Lennox Class, transmitting from GCIS Studios in Pretoria. They are saying it's Tswane now. We're linking with 65 community radio stations across the country, and this is the 10th of the 26 planned programs. Did you know that, Chief Luvuyo? This is the 10th of the 26. Yes, indeed, this is the 10th of the 26 planned episode dealing with all the justice-related programs. Tonight we have invited Luvuyo Mfaku. He is the spokesperson from the National Prosecuting Authority. This chief, this man, this gentleman, this big chief, I'm telling you, has all the answers that you can think of. Throw him any question. He's got a black belt. He's going to answer all your questions. Welcome, Tatu Mvuyo, in the program tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Tatu Mvuyo, before we kick the ball rolling, there's this phrase. I asked Utatu Victor. Utatu Victor is one of our colleagues in the Department of Justice. I say, Utatu Victor, there's this phrase that people normally talk about, and I know what it denotes. But before we do these programs, let me engage you around this phrase, Tatu Mvuyo, so that you can share with us the meaning. It is said the intention of the government departments must not only, they are suggested that justice must not only be done, but seem to have been done. Let me repeat that. It is said justice must not only be done, but seem to have been done. Can you explain this phrase before we even begin with our program, Tate Luvuyo?
No, the phrase basically says that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. Basically, whatever we have a responsibility as the criminal justice cluster and the Department of Justice to ensure that we deliver justice to the people of this country. Now, it must not be a lip service, but people must have tangible evidence that justice is being done.
Wow. Okay. Let me just take you along about the same question. Do I understand people to be saying perception exists out there that justice is done, and meaning that there's a distance that we need to travel with the people so that collectively we see a great picture that suggests this justice is not only done, but it is seen to so in the eyes of the citizen. Was there a perception that suggested against?
You have captured it correctly. When we sit as officials, we would execute our responsibilities and say we have done justice. But if we are not taking along the communities, in essence, it says our services must be closer to the people. We must take the people along in our journey.
This is the beginning of many steps in trying to evaluate the kind of work that the NPA is doing, the overall Justice Department, and the entire government departments. Now that that question is put aside, we are saying to the callers out there, if at some point in time you had an issue that has to do with justice or related to justice, this is your opportunity right now to call this toll-free number. I know you are looking for your pen. Call this toll-free number, 0800 142 446. 0800 142 446. If you do this, you do not have to spend a cent, because your justice-related questions would have been answered. We say we want justice to be accessible. And too often than not, people would have to go to Mashonisa to get to Meli on number of their justice-related challenges. So today presents an opportunity to you out there. If you have or you think you are going to have a justice-related question, Luvuyo Mfaku is here, is going to answer your question as we are talking right now. The toll-free number is 0800 142 446. Now that question is put aside, Tato Luvuyo, let's now talk about what is the mandate of NPA. You wake up every morning in the morning, you wake up every day in the morning, put on this beautiful suit, you go to your office to do what? What is the mandate? Do you want to share that with the listeners?
Well, class, the mandate of the NPA is to institute and conduct criminal proceedings on behalf of the state. That mandate is derived from our Constitution, Section 179. And further, the NPA has got a mandate to discontinue criminal proceedings and conduct anything incidental to criminal proceedings. Anything incidental would relate to your asset forfeiture proceedings, because they are not necessarily criminal proceedings, but they emanate from the institution of criminal proceedings. And any investigation that might be conducted by the financial investigators at asset forfeiture. Remember, the NPA does not have a mandate to investigate crime. Its mandate is to prosecute. How do we do that? Police, a complainant, a member of the public that is wronged, will go to a nearest police station and open a case. The police would investigate the matter. After having investigated, will take the docket to the prosecutor at the magistrate court. Then the prosecutor will look at the docket. If there is still outstanding investigation, will direct the investigator to finish those investigations. And then if there are grounds to prosecute, then they will prosecute.
I know you said something to the effect that you discontinue criminal proceedings. We are going to paint pictures. You see, some of us are tactile learners. We learn by touching. We're going to have to repeat some of these things. We're coming back there. But before we get to that, Luvuyo, for the benefit of the listeners out there, I would like us to paint a picture, step by step, of the value chain that ultimately involves NPA. Where does it begin? Who does what? And ultimately it gets, in fact, we can even take it further from NPA to the point where the matter is resolved. Where does it begin?
It starts with a complainant who has been wronged, going to the nearest police station, opening a case, police officials investigating the matter, taking it to NPA, that is prosecutors in the NPA, prosecutors deciding to prosecute, taking the matter to court. The magistrate chips in. You'll have a magistrate who is independent, who has to preside, adjudicate on the matter. Then the prosecutor, as the dominus litis, that is, they are in charge of prosecutions, he will then present the state case, and the accused will be represented. We've got legal aid services where an indigent accused, those who cannot afford the services of a lawyer, are given legal aid lawyers to assist them free of charge. Those lawyers are within the criminal justice department, the justice department. Then once a person is either acquitted after the magistrate has delivered his judgment, or convicted. After conviction, the person will be sentenced either to direct imprisonment. If direct imprisonment, he goes to correctional services. At correctional services, they will be introduced to a rehabilitative program to ensure that once they've finalized their term, they get integrated to the society and become productive members of the society.
Mm-hmm. It is resolved. after this particular individual has served his or her time and then is back into the community?
The correctional services, they engage. There is what is called a victim offender mediation. A person, once you've completed your sentence, let's say you actually behaved and you're gonna be released, say on parole, there will be a victim offender mediation program where that person would actually would display signs that he is ready. He would ask for forgiveness and ready to be integrated to the same community. Those are programs that are offered by the Department of Correctional Services.
It's a very, very easy and straightforward web. So that the listeners out there, when they feel aggrieved, they do not go straight to Khosi Mampuru to say, look this guy. This is what he has done to me. It has to go to the police. From the police, it comes to NPA. NPA, it goes to court. Court, depending how it has been resolved, the person lands there in the correctional facilities. If they did well, they might be given what is called parole and maybe serve the remaining sentence at home. Okay, here is the thing. People have been trying to engage us. I can see you have Jonas in Amanskral, Mr. Dladla Odladla.
Hello.
Mr. Dladla, no, Madladla, uskatata. Ukreile Jonas here. Let's take Ntate Jonas first from Amanskral and see what is it that we can assist him with. Immediately, we are going to get to you, Ntate Dladla. Just listen. Tata, you are on air, Tata Jonas.
Hello, Papa. Kukuba utisha na mo justice system here in South Africa, ne. Naga motho be ke reka mo company mo Pretoria somewhere. Batho bana bang go ba mosebetsi ka tsamaya go di CCMA, company reward everything. But no motho na isantsa mpatele tšhelete ya ka o rekisitse dilo di rekisitse di assets tsa gare ka dikgomo le di ostrich. And o botsa batho bana gore ena ana di assets for ora ka mpatala. Bana ke di system ya mo South Africa e bereka bjang ka di system tsa go le tsona.
Okay, Tate Jonas, was that the only question? Okay, please listen to Muretele, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Listen to Muretele, and then Tate Luvuyo is going to answer you. But let's go to Utatu Dladla and hear what he has to say. Tate Dladla, you're on air.
Okay.
Kuluma Tata Skon.
Yeah, Tota Nginga la. Umfowethu awulawa ngo-2009. Ngezi-2 zaka-August. Icase yakhona isahamba ikhoto. Okokuqala kwathi kulahleka amaphepha ekhoto.
Kulahleka amaphepha?
Ya, kwalahleka amaphepha.
Okay.
Edoketi. Sabuyela, bafuna bawathola. Yaqala. Icase yakhona ngisakhuluma nje namanje. Always masifike ekhoto. I-accuse yasho ukuthi i-pleader guilty mayifika ishintshe futhi ithi ayisa-plead guilty. And lokho kusihlukumeza kakhulu ngoba sineminyaka inyaka e-8. Usisi wami mbili usuyagula manje uphethe ukufa kwenhliziyo.
Okay. Umamele epi radio station impact, I assume. Which radio station are you listening?
103.
103, that is Radio Impact. Thank you to you, Radio Impact and Muretele. Let's go back to Eastern Cape. We have Takalane from Alwa North. Takalane from Inwal. Padko, it's Padko, you're on air.
Dumelandate, waphela.
Madume, umunati kuzwandate.
Ale re baba le tindate lena ke athabe ke spaya blame Prosecuting yo. Alman fala.
Okay.
Akugibisile mandulise notata Luvuyo ngokuthi abe nawe apha enkubeni nami ngiyabulela ngicela nje ukubuza nemibuzweni emibili kuya kwenithathu kuthatha Luvuyo ne
okay
ngifuna ukuqonda ukuthi phakathi kwe-NPA legal aid
undawo nomehluko.
Okay.
Ukuqala lo. Umbuzo wami wesibini ingaba iNPA bayakwazi ukuthi bona xa bebona ukuba umuntu ubulele bahambe ngokwabo kakubona ukuthi amapolisa okanye awenza indima bahambe ngokwabo bathi ngokubavula icala okanye bavula icase against lo muntu obuleleyo. At the end of the day ihambe iphinde licinye icala okanye i-withdraw i-NPA. Umbuzo wami wesithathu ndifuna ukuqonda ukuba bayakwazi ukuthi baze abantu bafundise ngeenkonzo zabo bangavyakela apho kwindawo ezincinci uyava ukuthi hayi zikhona i-office ze-NPA kwindawo ethile kodwa ukuthi beze ebantwini program ayenzeki loo nto. Bazoqinisekisa kanjani ukuthi ezi nkonzo abantu kwi-rural areas bayazifumana? Ngiyabulela kakhulu, ngamela kuTakalani Community Radio.
Sibamba ngazo zombini, ngazo zozimbini, ngazo zoltwede. Tata Luvuyo, 3 questions. I hope you noted all those questions. Let's start with Jonas, and we go to Dladla, and lastly to Patko.
Jonas, what he's referring to is a labor matter, not a criminal matter. We deal with the criminal matters as the NPA. He indicated that after the CCMA award, apparently the former employer disposed of the assets. I would advise him to contact the nearest labor center in his area. Those are specialists in labor-related matters. They would be in a position to give him direction in terms of what steps he must take in ensuring that he recovers whatever is owed to him. In respect of Utata Udladla, I'm not certain where this matter is. He said in matter 209, the person comes to court, he indicates that he was going to plead guilty and then changes the story. The facts are not enough. What I would suggest is that we must get his contact details so that I can get further information and the court where the matter is. I'll be in a position once I've engaged with the senior public prosecutor in that court to advise him what are the reasons for this postponement. But you must recall that an accused person is entitled to legal representation. You cannot force an accused person to go on with a trial or without legal representation. It happens that they do change legal representation and stories, and we have just to be patient and ensure that they get they have legal representation. We cannot force them. But I will get the contacts from Victor and we will investigate and get back to him.
Okay.
In respect of the NPA and the legal aid, Utata Patko, the NPA and legal aid, NPA it prosecutes, and legal aid is legal assistance that is given to an accused person. The services are provided by the state. Legal aid lawyers are employed by the Department of Justice to give legal assistance to all the accused people who cannot afford to pay the services of a lawyer. It is in line with our constitutional precepts. In terms of community engagements, as the NPA, we engage extensively in terms of community engagements. We've got in all the rural areas, but in some bigger centers, we've got the Tutuzela care centers. If he's calling from the Eastern Cape, we've got one in Umtata, we've got one in Butterworth, we've got one in Lusikisiki.
He's calling from Alwal North, this one.
Or Alwal North. Alwal North would be serviced by Umtata, yes. We do engage with communities in terms of the services that we provide. We do engage on issues of maintenance, issues of sexual assault, human trafficking and domestic violence, and the general services that we provide as NPA. I will engage Mr. Charlie, who is responsible for that area, who's a spokesperson for the DPP Umtata, to ensure that whenever they engage on awareness-raising campaigns, they cover areas like Alwal North.
There you are, and Tate Patko. We understand the distance might be, but remember we start biki by biki, pangono. We are going to get there ultimately. You see, there is some kind of competition that I'm going to push today. We are not going to finish this program until we get some kind of a fair representation across the provinces. Already we had a call from Northwest, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, and now we're going to Limpopo. Limpopo, we are having Untate Success. You are on air. Untate Success, Emma. After you, Untate Success, we are going to Tsepo. Utsepo is calling from Klerksdorp, and we're getting to spread. Now, Untate Success, you are on air.
Hayi le kae?
Umunati uzwa ntate.
Hayi ke gona man. Le ke gopela go botsisa ka e nngwe nna ke na le go le yona mo. Gore wa kgonega gore na gore o na le molato tene o hlele go ya kgorontsheko gomme e tsitekanang ngwaga go mo sa tsene ka lepokising. Ana gona go kgona gore mafelong ba fete ba itsetsena ka lepokising mara o sa go ja bohlatsi jwa go tswa go kgorotsheko gore ka tsatsi la gore o tsena ka gare ga lepokisi. O ka tsena ka lepokising mara o sa go ja bohlatsi jwa go tswa go kgorotsheko gore ka date ya gore o tlo tsena ka lepokising ke di kgopela botsa gore na ya kgonega tsa mogutong.
Okay, Ntate Success, I hope Utatu Luvuyo understand exactly what you're saying. You did not understand that. Okay, Ntate Success, don't worry. Karabo is going to summarize your question and will come back to you. We will respond. But now let's go to Tsepo. Tsepo, Klerksdorp, what is your question? Umunati uzwa ntate. Oh, sorry, I did not get that. Hey, your line, man. There's something wrong with your line that you want to establish a good position. Okay. Yes? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Different NPA. The private court o tsa bo kgeng le tsena go botsa fela gore difference ya teng ke motšhotšhisi wa ka mole ba se dirisana jwang le tsa di private tsena.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Ntate Success, Karabo is summarizing your question because you use reserve terms there that both of us were unable to understand. But don't worry, you are not going to be disadvantaged. Karabo is going to summarize your question. But you did get Tsepo's question because Tsepo wants to know what is the difference between the work you do and some of the work that is done by private prosecutors. For instance, yeah. That is Tsepo.
Let me start with Tsepo.
Yeah.
There's only one national prosecuting authority. It is provided for in the Constitution as a single national prosecuting authority. But there is a section in the Criminal Procedure Act that gives a victim of crime or a family member, if not satisfied with the decision of the NPA not to prosecute, to conduct private prosecution. That it can only happen once the NPA has issued a certificate stipulating that as the NPA, we are not going to prosecute, we decline to prosecute, we are not prosecuting the matter any further. Then once the complainant who has got, who's either a family member, who's got direct and substantial interest in the matter, can then apply for the certificate to be issued. Once that certificate is issued, he can then conduct a private prosecution. It is very expensive because the courts will require a security that would cover the expenses of the entire litigation. That is, those who will be representing the accused and the conduct. I mean, the entire process. Should you lose that private prosecution as a private prosecutor, those are the expenses that that security is required for that. It's not conducted willy-nilly, only once the NPA has declined to prosecute and indicated that in writing we are not going to prosecute the matter in the near future.
Okay. Now let's try and bring this to real situation. Recently, South Africa, I think for the first time, experienced an NGO, if they are called an NGO, taking a private matter of someone who believed they were aggrieved by a particular person. They were attacked or assaulted by this person. And I'm not sure what was the position of NPA, but we saw this particular organization taking the case. Does it mean at that particular case, NPA suggested that we are not going to prosecute this, or these guys decided to jump the gun and go ahead? I'm sure we know the case we're talking about.
No, the NPA was not. We said from the onset that we never received the docket. There could not be any private prosecution because we have never declined. We did not even receive the docket. How do you decline to prosecute before even you receive the docket? There cannot be any private prosecution without the NPA receiving the docket, declining to prosecute, and issuing a certificate that it is not going to prosecute in the future. Then you can talk about private prosecution. In the absence of that, there is no private prosecution.
So that for the benefit of the South Africans, those people, what were they doing?
I do not know. It has got nothing to do. We were not involved. We did not even receive the docket. It cannot be private prosecution. They might be, engaging in legal assistance of some sort, but it cannot be private prosecution because we did not even receive the docket. We did not decline to prosecute.
Okay. Karabo has assisted with Success's question. Success, you have the right, if you feel we are not representing your question. Apparently, Success is trying to establish if one can face a judge without getting subpoenaed. Can you just go and appear in court and face the judge without you having been subpoenaed?
A witness, if you are a witness in a matter, you get a subpoena. You are subpoenaed to appear in court to testify in court as a witness. If the investigating officer can even inform you as a witness, just coming to you or telephonically that on this particular date, the trial will commence, and therefore you are required to be in court. If you are subpoenaed, because you can actually, a person can be summoned if you are an accused person to appear in court. If you are summoned that on a particular date, present yourself in court, you will, after receiving that summons, go and appear in court.
Okay. From Northwest, we are going straight to Karoo. We have Mr. Van Wyk, and from there we are going straight to Port Elizabeth, where I come from. In case you don't know Karabo, Port Elizabeth, yes. Where I come from. Wait, skajaga when I'm to Port Elizabeth. Right now we are talking with Mr. Van Wyk. Ntate Van Wyk, you are on air.
Good day, Lennox. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Okay. Also, hello to Luvuyo. My question is with regard to all these kids that roaming the street during school time. I want to know whose duty is it to see to it that these children are in the school. You know, there's a lot of crime coming out of these kids that are roaming the streets, and the school says the duty of the parents. The parents say the duty of the police. So who must see to it that the children are in school?
Okay, Tate Van Wyk, I can hear from your voice that you are the kind of parent that this country needs. Thank you very much. Is that the only question?
That's the only question, and thank you for a very exciting program.
Thank you very much, sir. We are taking lessons from the good ones that came before us. They know themselves. Now, let's go to Luvuyo. Luvo, you are on air.
Okay, but right?
I'm right wena.
Okay, okay, ngicela abantu kubhuti lo labo emithini ingaba xa benecase abayi-investigateayo ingabithatha ixesha engakanani, because kukho icase kaSenzo noyiwa ingathi draga too long. I don't know uba mhlawumbi ke inoba kusekho ikhathi elikhoyo na. Ndifuna uva nje ixesha abalithatha inoba liyathini okanye dileya ngenxa yantoni eziphikisile. Okwesibini ndiyibuze kukwe-certificate ati i-NPA if ever bayadiklayina uprosecutor bayasikhupha. Banakho na ungavuma usikhupha if ever umuntu uyasifuna. Banalungelo ukuthi hayi asikwazi usikhupha okanye kukinto esibambayo ingasikhuphi. Okanye i-must basikhuphe if ever baprosecute enkosi.
Kumust uthetha njengomuntu wasebhayi kumust basikhuphe. Thanks to Nqubela Q nizibiza noni QFM. Thank you to you. Let's go to Limpopo, where France in Limpopo. Tate France, you're on air.
Ke le bomrena le kae?
Umonati uzandate.
Ke kopa o botsa mo papa man. O a kgonagala hore ha se o itse motho small claim court. Ba a feletsa sa patele ba mo nkela diphatsa. Ba re mo nkela diphatsa a tla boya phatsa tsela tsa hae ba di busetsa morao ka di cost tsa go court.
Did you get that?
Ena o tsoa mo ba o bitsa ba re he wa right no mothola o appeal ka rena o appeal jwang because le nako ya hae ya notice ya ba mo fileng e fedile a se a appeal mara o felletsa a re yena o bua mmuso 90,000 ile open up ha ke ya ka kwa ba mpitsa ba sa mpiletsa ka court ba mpiletsa ka mo roomong ya magistrate ke fitsa ke bona le magistrate ka mo office ya hae o re why wena o romela sheriff o nka diphatsa tsa motho ka re nna ha ka romela sheriff o rometse ke mangwala a tswa mo court ba re he wena o ska re fetola jalo boela morao re tla utlwa gore na he di bua ko Pretoria dire o sa wine molato gore o wine molato ha o sa tsena molato ha ke le ka mo ntse ke ene jwale ha ona molato o kenang ba le ba bisi ba re ba siwa mmuso 90,000 ke motho o one ba babedi ba bararo ba joina ka mo case J3 di feletsa le case ye one. Is that possible?
Did you get that in Tatel Vuyo? Tatel Vuyo is moving.
Ona le corruption e kgolo ke tseno le Limpopo especially rena re sena ditšhelete. I can come a le ke tshwere di notes mo nna everything. Nothing is happening. And I jwale ke kopa re ntse ka re I've got about 4 to 5 tse ding di go gauteng. Ke wine di case tsa ona ka o fela tsona. But all our registered company, wa registered company we register foreman a tshwantse a patele ha patele gore company ya ke ya hae a se monga pele. Kopa mo nka khona o tla ho lena straight dire se mo moeng. Ke tse ke le bontshe all my documents rona o diragala eng.
Ntate France, you are doing all this as what? Umang wena?
I'm just an ordinary person.
Okay. Okay.
Mara ke tisa setšhaba sa Limpopo especially in this time. Ke motho e le gore ke dila ka dilo tsela tsa di-claim. Hodima di-claim tseo ke fiwa melato e mengata-ngata mola ke tisa setšhaba.
Okay.
Mara di a pala dilo tseo ka o fela tsona. Ba leka o mpona molato ka mo nna a kena molato.
Yo. France, Utatul Vuyo is going to try or attempt to respond where possible, but we do have your contact details. We will try and do justice to.
Ke no e kopa fela o no e botsa papa yone e wena diphatha motho a sa responde ba mo nketse diphatha tsa ya kwa ba boya managera a ngwala and managera ho ha ditolo bolela o rekile plus mo part and parcel ya somebody mo o rekile plus for yana ko ngwaneng wa hae so he's spending for this man and yona is guarantee ka yona. So that manager o tshwanetse gore a bereke gore a busetse diphatha ka di-cost tsa ko court nna tsaka le nna ke tsa ke fiwa mmuso o mfa di-documents tse di wrong tsa gore motho ba mo removela.
Okay, Tate France, let Tate Luvuyo try and respond where he is able, and where we are unable to resolve, definitely we'll call you after this broadcast. There's 2 people that we are going to call after this broadcast. It's you, France, and it's Ladla. It means we are getting a great deal of justice. I can see justice, that other side is laughing from the Department of Justice. If you still remember all the questions, Tate Luvuyo, let's go and start from Van Wyk.
With Mr. Van Wyk, I'm not sure whether these kids are street kids or what, but it is a responsibility of parents to ensure that children are at school. Once they are at school, it is the responsibility of the teachers to ensure that they are within the premises. If it's kids that are street kids who do not have any shelter, the Department of Social Development has got programs and shelters where they ensure that they address those issues. But it is really a responsibility of parents. Once they are in the school premises, the teachers take over that responsibility of ensuring that they are within the premises. I see in most of the schools that once they knock in, the gates are locked. Once when they knock off, then they are open to ensure that you do not find children roaming around while they are supposed to be in classes. Luvo, the issue of the certificate, the certificate is only issued to someone who suffered the direct injury. By injury, I mean the one who has been wronged, or the family of that particular person, or a person who has got substantial and peculiar interest. You need to prove those. We do not issue the certificate willy-nilly. We need to satisfy the legislation that, in fact, you've got those interests as outlined in the criminal procedure before we issue a certificate to any person. In respect of France is talking about the small claims court where execution warrants after default charge or judgments have been granted, and that he's alleging crime that is being committed. As you have indicated that his number will be taken, we've got officials from the Department of Justice. Small claims court falls within the realm of the Department of Justice. If officials employed by the Department of Justice are involved, then the department must investigate and see if there are any, if once receiving that information, if there's any criminality in that information, that will be taken up with the police. But they must take the numbers and get the necessary documentation from him, and then it will be investigated by the department.
Now we're with France now. The compounded question. France, the one who has so many questions within a question. Can we agree that we are going to deal with France after this broadcast? Now, let's go straight to Attersville, Kopelindaba, next door. And from there, we go to Zakhele and Nelspruit. I was about to expose Mpumalanga. Zakhele, you assisted Mpumalanga because I'm going to expose all the provinces that have not called up until now. Right now, let's go to Thabo, Attersville. Thabo, you're on air.
Hello, Ntate Lemasile guys.
Umnati uzwa Ntate Thabo.
Re teng ke kopa go tswa Ntate Luvuyo gore e ka be beng gore a metha go le ko police station o tsaya nako e kana ka before beng gore ka fitla ko NPA. Ke ra go itse ke investigator and then maybe investigator bothata bo tsaya nako e kana ka before beng gore metha o ka fitla ko NPA.
Okay. Is that all, Tate?
Yes, that's the only question I'm asking.
Thank you very much. Zakhele, you are on air.
Yes, that's the only question I'm asking.
Thank you very much. Okay, Zakhele, Nelspruit, you are on air.
Yes, Sanbona.
Hi, Tate.
Siyaphila. Bengifuna kwathi ngemakhosi lakhona eSouth Africa ukuthi mangaki ngokuhlukahlukana kwawo, so i-NPA yona isebenza kanjani masekufika lapho ngoba ngathi emakhosi asebenza ngokuhlukahlukana.
Okay. Is that all, that Zakhele?
So far, that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Butwam, Uluvo from PE, I'm not sure if you answered that question.
I've answered. I'll get to this one. He asked something about how long the investigations take. Look, that one, the police would be ideal placed to respond to that question. I do not know the intricacies and the investigative methodologies that they employ in terms of ensuring that they get to resolve the matter. I won't be in a position to respond to that one. It's a matter that has to be responded to directly by the police. Coming to Thabo from Attridgeville. Thabo asked about what was Thabo's question?
Utabo, you wanted to know the amount of time that the police...
Oh, they take... It depends. If you go and open an assault matter, the police would then take the necessary statements, investigate the matter, and when they believe that they have gathered enough information to enable the prosecutor to decide, then they will take the docket to a prosecutor. If it's an organized crime matter where they run projects, they would use their unconventional methods in terms of ensuring that they investigate, and that those take a bit longer. But your straightforward ones, like if you're reporting a rape matter, you go to a police station, they would go and investigate, and once they get the statements and identify a suspect, there will be an arrest, and the docket will be brought to the prosecutor for a decision.
There you are. Remember, colleagues, remember, listeners, we painted a picture at the beginning of the program in terms of the value chain. Before it gets to NPA, it has to be there with the police, it has to be there with the complainant. NPA can start in this particular game, if I am to use a metaphor for football. They will start kicking the ball once it is within their radius, once it is passed to them. If it is with the police out there, it will be called interfering. And remember that no matter how NPA is looking forward in prosecuting the people who might have been involved in the murder of Senzo, but until those people are brought to court, arrested, there's very little that the NPA can do. I hope that captures, the gist, so that, in fact, maybe the next question is going to try and assist our listeners when we start talking about the successes of the NPA. Can you just paint a picture
of the success? Let me start with Zakel.
Zakel
asked about how the courts, the court hierarchy. We've got magistrate courts. Those are lower courts where relatively not so complicated or serious matters are heard. Then you've got your regional court matters, regional courts. Regional courts, they preside over serious offenses like your rape, your murder. Those are actually adjudicated at the regional courts. And you've got your high courts. You find that the jurisdiction of the regional courts and the labor courts overlaps at times, because you'll get some matters of organized crime and rape being prosecuted in the high court. It depends on the complexity and seriousness of the matter, whether the forum ideal for it for sentencing will either be the high court or the regional court, although the jurisdiction is almost the same. Coming to our successes.
No, maybe let's wait. Let's give Kaya. Maybe Kaya is going to ask a question similar to that. Tate Kaya, King Williamstown. You are on air, sir.
Okay, ndiyabulisa msakazi.
Siyabulisa Tatu Kaya.
Yebo, mna ndilapha eKing Williamstown. Ndinengxaki endikholelwa ukuba, I mean, there is no justice here in South Africa.
Wow, okay.
Ndinenkinga apha ekhona phakathi kwalo mndeni wasekhaya. And ndaqalisa khona ibhizinisi lokufamisha kunye nabanye amafama phaa eKeisi Amahuku. And all of them ngabantu asele bebadala bayayazi yonke lento ndiyithethayo. Now ngoku kungenelela ifamily besithi lilifa labo eli.
now ihambile ke loo nto bandenzela i-protection order bethetha zonke izinto ngam bandikhupha uba mandiphume ndiphele phayana bayisa ekhoti phayana umajistrate wakhona wayidismissa yonke le nto zii-costs ezihlawulwa ndim ihambile futhi iphaa e-high court ebhisho ngoku nejaji ibichophele yona le nto iyaphinda yayidismissa again yaba and then now ndi-aphilile ke again but eyona nto endingazi ukuthi yintoni le nto ibangela uba ibe nzima yonke uyixazulula lolu daba it's simply because zikhona ii-certificates ezibakhombisayo because we are talking about legal registered entity you see and now ke ngoku le nto ndiphethe kakubi andivani namalungu omndeni because some of them now they benefit to this project of which they never work hard from it
bona ke Tatukhaya suyibeka le phone ne ubambe lo nxeba lo ndifuna utata apha akubuze a few questions before azoresponda Tatu Thembisile eMdantsane sicela ubambe baba sizawuza kuwe usifake epalini okay Tatu Luvuyo I would like you to interact with so that we can do justice to this question. He talks about the company.
Online?
Yeah, he's online. Kaya ukhona ndithi?
Ndikhona.
Okay, bhuti wami uthi ngubani ngonje uthe ithathwe le matha yaswe court ifamily.
Ise high court ndim umuntu oyithathileyo ndayisa ecourt kuze ixazululwe ngokungaphandle kodlame.
Yes. So
now wabesele umagistrate ophaya case kamahoku uyayichitha he dismisses it and then I make application to high court.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that high court izokwazi ukuthi kudlalwe because yona nto ndinqwenela into bana makudlalwe indima yomthetho kulento ndizokwazi ubuya ndisebenze kwelakhaya ndibe right kunye nomndeni.
Yes. So what is high court ngoku ayika adjudicate?
I-adjudicatile wayichitha ujaji ebechophele elityala edismissa to the mere fact that he says that there's a lot of disputed factors to this case. But it's clear i-certificates ziphaa phambi kwakhe, everything is there in front of him. And now le nto ngoku iyandikhosta again for appeal. I have appealed waphinda wabuya wayichophele, then I'm still waiting for his judgment. But I am not optimistic because what makes me not to be optimistic is that he seems not to see the real matter that needs to be resolved in this matter.
Okay. Were you legally represented, Clematako?
Yes, I've got advocates, I've got attorneys. I'm saying that's why I'm calling to this program. It's simply because this thing is taking too much in my pocket unnecessarily.
Yeah, I do not know the facts of the matter. I was not privy to merits. So once it's adjudicated in the March court and it went to high court, and it's a civil matter, ours is criminal. Now I would not be of any assistance in that regard unless our justice colleagues will take your numbers and engage with the Chief Justice Office.
Okay. Tatukhaya, bakhona amadoda apha abuya e-Department of Justice. Zikhona i-offices abasebenza nazo that we think can assist you. After the program, Utatu Victor is going to call you so that he knows exactly where to take this thing. The reason we have these programs is to try and resolve issues that people like you are unable to resolve themselves. Because I was very, very hurt when you opened your question or interaction by saying there's no justice. End of the day, we want all the South Africans not to see but to feel this justice that we're talking about. Tata, don't worry, Victor is going to call you. Siyavumelana. Thank you very much. We are government, responsive one for that matter. We cannot sleep well if we have people like you who feel aggrieved and they do not get to be assisted. We wake up every day in the morning to make sure that people like you do get the justice and they are serviced. Ubaba uza kufonela ke tata ukhaya, relax for now. And we do have your numbers, and you see that number that you called. Call that number every working hour. If you do not get joy, we will try on your behalf to intercede. In the meantime, let's go to Tembisile from Tanzania. Tatu Tembisile uphelelwe ngumoya kutheni uqhawuka?
Bolo baba ndiyazi kwenzeke njani noma uba endaweni emnyama.
Ngukarabo, qhawulwe ngukarabo ungabi nawari. Thetha tata.
Alright tata. Ndineni njani tata?
Hayi siphilile kumnandi singeva wena tata.
Siphilile tata. Ndinengxaki xhego. Ndinecase eseJoburg ndandiyofuna imoto khona ne. Ndarojwa ke ngulo mfana wayendithengisela imoto so cacile uba ngumntu oyicrew ehlele yenza laa nto because ndafuna baninzi abantu abenze laa nto mna wayendize yi-82,000 of which yayi-avance.
Okay.
Then into eyenzeka yi-one ndayivula icase after ndiyivulile icase ndayivula icase i-10 day ndayivula icase kwathi uba ndandisuke e-East London nokwanyanzeleka uba ndiphinde ndibuyele back e-East London kwiintsuku eziyi-3 emva koba enze laa nto sendiyivulile icase. But ndaqonda before uba ndibuyele e-East London back man ndiphinde ndiyodibana nomcuphi oyena mntu ubambe iyophethe icase le. Ndadibana naye ndimxelela uba ifiye yam laa mfana uzawuqhubekeka noyidrowa imali le isebhenki. Saya ke ngoku enantsikeni e-East Mall e-Absa sadibana nomanager wakhona, umanager wakhona watsheka kwisystem wabuza uba ibiyenzeke nini loo nto bla. Ndamxelela ngamaxesha all that. Wayibona wajika isystem wathi nguye nalo mfana lo ndingamazi xa ndimbona ndathi ke ewe ndingamazi wajika isystem wayijongisa kum wathi nguye nalo ndathi ke mna ke ewe nguye wathi hayi uyayibona i-appearisha nale nto exesha ndiyichazayo plus usuku yonke into iyabhalansa wabuza uba nguye lo ndathi ewe nguye lo. Ngabe ndihamba nomcuphi then imali lena ndiyidipozithile yona ke ngoku into eyenzekayo wathi no uzayifriza wayifriza there. Na iproblem yam ikakhulu ngoku kudala ndizama like umzekelo eziba ndisitsho ndisithi mna ndise-East London le case iseJoburg badlala u-hide and seek like umzekelo ndiyi-understand i-prosecutor ndiye yashiya khona yaba khona imali eyashiyekayo kulaa mali ngezaa ntsukwana singazange siye ebhenki waqhubekeka senza i-withdrawals laa mfana kwade kwashiyeka imali engange-23,000. So bendisithi ke ngoku i-prosecutor eyona mali sendiyifuna ndiyayibona enye le yecase into eyona mali sendiyifuna yile yayifriziwe ebhenki because everything is there ubungqina boba ndandiyidipozithile imali ne-footage banayo yonke udlala u-hide and seek. The reason why ndisithi udlala u-hide and seek I don't understand being i-prosecutor ndithi ndimfowunela abuze apha kum uba yintoni ebathi bayayifuna ebhenki kodwa ndiyamxelela uba mna ndithi ndifuna laa mali ebhenki. Ndandimxelela into efunwayo ebhenki kuthiwa yi-court order or i-supin something like that echazayo ukuthi bacela ezapha zafowunelwa mna ngumlungu wakhona wase-Absa kweli cala kwa-forensic esithi bona bagqibile ngokwe-investigation yabo. Into endinoyifumana mna kunantsika kumtshutshisi okanye umcuphi lo wecase adibane nomtshutshisi ecourt benze laa nto nathi bayizayisithi yi-court order na bachaze kuyo uba bafuna kutransferwe ezaa funds from laa account yala-perpetrator to my account. Inzima loo nto leske wayenza uske wavela wandithumelela i-email address yakhe ndixelela uba mandibheke ebhenki nditsho ibhenki imsendele i-email ichaze uba yintoni iyifunayo. Senze benza into ezifanayo uba ndenzela nje into ezifananyana ininzi tata into endinoyithetha ngabo.
Ndijonge utata uLuvuyo apha akasayihlikihli inhloko akachazeki tu yile nto enziwa ngaba bantu. I'm sure he's going to give you a forward march. He's going to tell you where to from here. Ndicela umamele ku radio tata. But right now let's go to, is there any other question you want to ask?
No, ayikho babo kwangoku
Okay.
because lo mfana usabanjiwe. Eyona nto bendiyifuna mna yimali le yayishiyekile bank because ndistakile like last year December, ibe ngo-October last year le.
Okay.
Last time December khange ndikwazi nothengela abantwana bami impahla because andinamali imali ilifriziweyo. So bendimcela just as for lena nje ifriziweyo bank itransfer because ibhenki isho yona ithi ayina-problem.
Hayi ndikuvile tata. Uzokuphendula ke utata uLuvuyo, but before that masiye kutata Mark in Pietermaritzburg.
Sawubona Msaka, sawubona Msaka, ngicela ukubingelela kuwena nesambeli sakho. Mina ngilalele kumgungundlo 107.6 FM, the sound of choice of KZN Capital.
Umgungundlovu ngiyamazi umphathi wakho. Hayi enye indoda lapha. Hayi yona masikhuluma noKarabo. Hayi kunzima mina ngiyabaleka. Okay. Masikhulume baba.
Right, ngisacela ukubuza la baba, mina nginenkinga la. Kwathi ngo-2014 my child was raped. Ngaleso sikhathi wayekade ena 7 years and icala lakhona lavele laphelela emoyeni ngoba ngisho ngoba wa rape umuntu womdabu waseNdiya umfana wakhona ngoba kwakungabantu ababenama powers ukuthi banemali bona. Lelo cala namanje angazi ukuthi laphelelaphi. Engicela ukubuza ngoba namanje uma ngimbona lo yena leyo mfana kunalento evukayo kumina ye-enga ukuthi engathi ngingasiphindisela. Ngisacela ukululekwa ubaba lapho ukuthi uma ngifuna licala leli ukuthi ngilithathe ngiliphindisele epolice station yase-Mountain Rise la eMaritzburg noma ngifuna lingene enkantolo lomfana azashushiswa ngoba kunaleyo picture engafuni ukusuka kumntanami ukuthi ngiyenze njani ngizolalela emoyeni kumgungundlovu FM.
Hayi siyabonga baba Max. Before we respond to you, bottom of my heart, I cry with you. I hope Utata Luvuyo is going to respond to you in the way that you'll be very, very satisfied. But suggest ukuthi sigqibezele ngawe. Sit down, relax, and listen to the program as Utata Luvuyo is going to respond to other callers. Uqala kuThembisile uza kuMark, because incidentally you were the last caller for tonight's program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, sir. Tata Luvuyo.
uThembisile ngilwasemdantsane wemali.
Wenkwenga.
Okay. Kubaba lo, what I can say is that he mentions that there's the prosecutor involved, meaning that the matter is in court. Now, even him, I would like to get the contact details so that I can investigate which court, because in a criminal matter where there is an amount money that is involved, there is chapter 5 of asset forfeiture where it relies on conviction. A money might be frozen, in order to ensure that the trial is concluded. Once that person is convicted, then that's when the processes of forfeiture kick in. The money is forfeited to the state and it gets paid to the complainant. Now, in this case, I'm not sure whether that is the process. He mentions that the prosecutor sent emails. It cannot be AFU processes. They do not operate in that fashion. So that is why I need to get his contact details so that he can give me the name of the prosecutor and the court where he actually operates, so that we can get to the bottom of the matter.
Okay, now, uDladla, uFrance, noThembisile, we are going to conduct them after this broadcast. Okay?
And Ubaba Lwasedeben, naye same. It's not clear whether it went to court. He said he mentioned that he was reported the alleged rape of a minor child. I would want to get his details as well, because we've got our regional spokesperson who is very efficient in terms of responding to the needs of the people. In particular, we're very biased in respect of the vulnerable. I want the particulars so that we can actually engage and find out the case number, which police station, which court, what happened, why was the matter not proceeded with. I would want to get those details.
Tatu Mark, I know from where I'm sitting, you are not going to get a service beyond what you are going to get when Utate Vuyo is calling you. He's going to call you. He's going to get all the details, and I can assure you, end of the day, you will be so satisfied. Tata, do you have any parting note? Anything you want to say before we say bye-bye to the listeners?
We're saying to the listeners, we are living this slogan or motto that says justice must not only be done, but it must be seen to be done. We want the communities to be part of our programs. We have to deliver victim-centric service to our communities. The victim come first.
On that note of the victim coming first, we've come to the end of our tonight's special broadcast. And as we conclude, allow me to say these 2-3 words. You know, we want to believe these programs, all these programs that we're doing with the Justice Department, we hope they are going to do something, you know, qualitatively in changing the lives of the people of South Africa to the better.